So to kick off, Jason and Kate, when did the Royal Garden take the step to, encouraging you to get on board and to target the Chinese guests? And if you can enlarge on how you do that.
We provide complimentary Chinese newspaper, and we prepare. We know Chinese leads that we would have adapters, so we don't need the guests to ask. We prepare the adapters, and we also prepare Chinese welcome letters in room. So people, when they walk in the room, they would have this Chinese introduction of the hotel, how to use the phone, because for most people here, the English native speaker, it's very natural. You walk into the hotel, you know how to use the phone, how to switch on the television. But for Chinese people, most of them probably the first time to come to London, they need a lot of guidance and how to use it.
So to particularly concierge reception is very important. Of course, in the Minjiang restaurant, we do have a Mandarin Cantonese speaker.
So both from a food and a language point of view, Mandarin's your first port of call.
And then in the room service wise, you should have one channel of Chinese TV, then minimum 1 or 2, either Mandarin or Cantonese. Then in room service, you have to have a Chinese tea provider and slipper or pajama if you can.
From the marketing side, we're doing a lot of mailing and promotion material to target the Chinese market, and we have a lot of group programs, so we will sending all the information to the Chinese guests database. And we also have our own Chinese website, so when guests in China wanted to see what's the hotel, what's the information, so they can access to our Chinese website. And we also this year are focusing on the social media, which is booming in China. As everybody knows, Weibo and Singlang, all those kind of major social media.
Chinese is distinguished by traditional and simplified online, and so as a general rule, if you're targeting Hong Kong, Taiwan and places like that, it's traditional Chinese, and there are different search engines for those markets. And then for mainland Chinese, it's simplified, where Baidu is the biggest search engine and Google doesn't really get a look in. And then there's a whole raft of social media platforms which are grown quite rapidly over the years. Things like Ren, Weibo and things like that, which from a search marketing perspective, we would always argue you need to get your search visibility right in the particular search engine. So if it's mainland China, Baidu, which controls 73% of the market. If it's Hong Kong, then into Yahoo. And then on top of it, start to build up your social media presence, which is very important in Asia and always has been important in terms of buying decisions and building the brand and that kind of thing.
We have a strategy that focuses on 3 key areas. One of them is building our image overseas and building our image in China is the first one. Our second one is our travel trade element. So we know that around 70 to 80% of bookings are coming through the travel trade. So our engagement with that sector is very important to us, and we have a series of missions every year that we undertake, and we have an engagement program with them. And our third element, which is quite new to us, is the online travel agent. And whilst it's still, we know that still people are not booking directly as yet, it is growing very rapidly, and some of the numbers that we're seeing are really quite incredible. So in fact, this week I think it is, we will be launching a campaign with Elong, which is Expedia's platform in China, and it's the first time that a tourist board is actually running a consumer campaign with them. So it's we're seeing that as an important step in terms of what we're doing in that market.
We're all quite sophisticated now before we get to a point of buying from a hotel online. I think in China there's still a lot less people, individuals, that are going and clicking on a hotel link and buying from a hotel and making a reservation.
That's very true, yeah.
But that's going to grow.
People started to look more now because people use internet much more than before, but because of the language, sometimes if they go to a foreign country's website, it's totally English, there's no point for them and they can't be bothered to keep on reading, and they would just. And obviously brand awareness is very important for Chinese customers, so they normally, once they heard this brand, and then they would just go for it, and then they maybe do a little bit of research just on the rates and say, oh, that's the rate I can get, and then see what they can get from the other agencies.
I think certainly, if you're not working with Expedia, I think that would be an easy one, because we are about to go live with them in China, so that's certainly an easy step. Certainly in terms of our reach to consumers and trade, any news stories that you might have, anything newsworthy you want to get across that market, feed it through to us. There's no cost in that, and if it's worth getting out there, we'll certainly put it out there. We've got 3 offices in China. If you need to know who the top inbound operators are, we'll give you a list of these people. And certainly the ground handlers that are based in the UK are certainly a good first step as well.
I mean, in China, everyone knows Ritz-Carlton, but they didn't know the Ritz as a, if you like, a separate entity. They're now starting to understand that, and are starting to ask about having experiences that are a little different, not necessarily always wanting the everyday experience that everyone else has had, but able to go back home and say, yes, I went to London, I stayed in London, and I stayed at ABC hotels. So we've seen more and more demand. I think up to about, we're probably, if you look at the top hotels in London, the ones where you have a concierge and that type of approach, we're probably only at about 20% of those. But certainly our goal is to get that up this year. We've introduced pre-authorization on credit cards for UnionPay for the first time last year, so that's now available. Acquirers are now offering the service. So we're hoping to pick that up really, really fast this year.
Culturally, they like sports mostly. It's golf and swimming. So if your hotel have a swimming pool, that's unique selling point. You can sell it more to Chinese. You got swimming pool, is it?
Yeah.
Yes. That's why we don't have. So you first have to evaluate your market and just your product, and to meet custom special Chinese needs, and we call Chinese factor in Chinese way. So Chinese name called 中国元素. So make sure including the decor, you can put some traditional Chinese picture in. And I went to Coutts Bank once, their VIP room. They got beautiful Chinese and handmade painting and make the room so exclusive. That's why they got lots of Chinese investors in Coutts.
We're looking to treble the number of Chinese visitors by 2020, I think it is. Right. So we're around 150,000 at the moment, so 3 times that by then. So certainly the government targets are for growth, and they've got to hopefully then facilitate that, certainly their visa policies, and obviously helping with the air capacity issues.
Search always starts with demand. Do some research and just see how many people are looking for boutique hotel, Bermondsey or South London or something like that, because those are what we call long tail. They are converting phrases. So if it's only 100, don't bother. If it's 10,000, maybe there's something there. Because when people go online, they research, and Chinese are no different to that. There's a research phase, and that might be hotels London. Well, at that stage, they're a long way from making their buying decision, and it's always an expensive phrase to target. So do some research, maybe a Chinese friend or a Chinese student, an intern, that kind of person. But you do need to work with Baidu, because if you just work with Google statistics on who's searching, you're missing out on, I think Google, the last figures is down to 4.7%.
With Chinese UnionPay, they spend more money. And with Visa or Master, they will save, oh no, I'm not going to, because they convert to the renminbi, maybe they lose the money. So UnionPay is the key point for Chinese traveler, number 1. Number 2, Chinese breakfast you have to have. And number 3, if you got 1 or 2 people in the reception or concierge, you can sell the package for the golf, including theater tickets, a renting car, anything, whole pack you can sell easily.
We have a couple of things that we are doing in the short term which might be useful for you. We have an event called Hosted Buyers Marketplace, which is coming to London in March. There is a very small cost attached to that, but we are flying in some of the top Chinese trade in with that group, in fact from all over the world. So you'll be able to meet with some of these buyers face to face. There are then events that you can fly out to China and you can meet with trade out in China, which obviously that carries a higher cost. But there are little things like that that you can do here that are not necessarily hugely expensive, where you can still reach out to that travel trade.
Brand awareness, marketing, PR activities is definitely very important. I mean, we have a really good team behind me to sort of we're doing a lot of active PR PR activities in China at the moment. Inviting some Chinese journalists come to stay. Write up your hotels. It's always good. And Chinese people like to follow celebrities like everybody else does as well. So if you have some Chinese celebrities to come, try to grab them, give them good rates, because they're the best PR image for you. And once you have some, PR releases or whatever to say, oh, who stayed with us, you can always put on social media, Weibo, or things like that, and the people like to follow. And it's a very good way to promote your hotel.
But I'd just like to say thank you to Greig, Jason, Kate, and Nathan. Just have a round of applause, please.
I enjoyed the evening because it was a really good representation, with good panellists, also really interesting people to network with, and actually gave me an insight as to how other hotels in London look after their Chinese market.
Well, it's the first one of these that I've been to from Boutique Hotel News. I thought actually the messages were very good. It's huge, really pleasing to see the amount of interest there is from everybody here. And I think something like this does actually help sort of get across some of the key areas in sort of how best to service a market that is, the Chinese market in particular, that is becoming more and more important to Britain. And certainly from the UnionPay side, we're very pleased to see them over here, hopefully spending a lot of money.